listening to Arrow FM on the radio or streaming from our website? Or did you download a podcast from the website? Maybe you've been watching.
Hi there, right. I'm late to my own show. Not just late to my mate Mike Udding's show, which I was doing for a while with him. I did get stuck behind a large water tanker, which is probably not the best excuse. I actually had to take Indira to swimming, and yeah, perhaps I should have left home a little bit sooner. But hey, I'm here now, and yeah, this is Ill Behaviour for Saturday the 30th of March, second show. Thanks for tuning in, and for those regular listeners on Arrow, yeah, back again this week, Saturday. I think I might start things off with a song that, yeah, I was listening to the other day, and I thought, this is a good radio track. So I'll just look it up here, and hopefully, okay, what do I do again? No, that's what, okay, good. Turn that up, right. I'm just remembering how to do all this, but yeah, this is a cool, I mean, well, I think it's pretty cool. I'm not sure, it may actually be a cover, but it's by a lady called Mavis Rivers, who is a New Zealand singer. I think she's still with us. She was born in Apia, Samoa, and then moved to Auckland with her family, and got into singing, became quite popular in New Zealand, and then actually moved to the United States and became like a very accomplished jazz singer over there. And I didn't even know anything about her, actually, and I was reading a book that Indira has to her the other evening called, I think it's called Go Girl, and it's just stories of amazing New Zealand and Pacific women. Pretty inspirational stuff. But yeah, cool book. And this is a song by her. I mean, I don't know if it is actually by her. I think it may be a cover, but either way, it's good. So yeah, here it is.
Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. It don't mean a thing, all you do is sing. It makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Just give that rhythm everything you got. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. What good is melody? What good is music if it ain't possessing something sweet? It ain't the melody, it ain't the music. There's something else that makes the tune complete. Dooby doop doop dooby doop dee doop ba ba doolia ba dee. Dee doop dee ah dooby doop dee doolie. It makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Just give that rhythm everything you've got. It don't mean a thing.
Sorry about that, everyone.
If it ain't got that swing.
Tuned up properly. It's been an amateur, eh? Okay, now start it again.
It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. It don't mean a thing, all you do is sing. It makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Just give that rhythm everything you got. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. What good is melody? What good is music if it ain't possessing something sweet? It ain't the melody, it ain't the music. There's something else that makes a tune complete. Shooby-doop-doop-doop-doop-dee, doop-bop-a-dool-ya-bop-dee. Dee-doop-dee-ah, doop-a-doop-dee-doo-dee. No difference if it's sweet or hot. Just give that rhythm everything you've got. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. A shooby-dooby-doop-doop-doo, a shooby-doop-doop-doop-doo.
Right, yeah, pretty cool track, eh? Mavis Rivers, said by Frank Sinatra to be one of the purest voices in jazz, which is pretty high praise from old Blue Eyes. So had a pretty good week, working away at the honey factory. It's about to wind up. Extracted a lot of honey this season. The bees have been out there. It wasn't actually that good a season, apparently, according to the honey people, but I'll take their word for it. But it seemed like we had a whole lot of honey, but maybe last season they had a lot more. But that's how it is. I did read an interesting article this week from goodness, I can't even remember who it was by, but it was in the Listener, and on noted.co.nz about Robert Louis Stevenson, the writer, and how he popped into Auckland one time and to visit to catch up with the former Governor Gray, and it got me thinking about Governor Gray. And I was reading a book recently by the NZ historian with the Irish surname, about the Waikato conflict and so on, just about how Governor Fitzroy was briefly in charge from, I think, 1843 to 1845 after Governor Hobson. And Fitzroy is someone that's sort of maybe not spoken about as much as the others, but I think in a lot of ways he was actually a far better governor from a Māori perspective. He definitely was, because he was a bit more respectful of the indigenous people here, and wanted to work with them in order to make things fair. But he got shunted to the exit pretty quickly by some of the other colonists, and they brought Governor Gray back, who then proceeded to sort of accelerate conditions that led to the New Zealand Wars. But Fitzroy was an interesting man, but he unfortunately ended up killing himself, which was sort of attributed to stress and exhaustion when he was a bit older. I think he was the first person to come up with weather forecasts, and he did that when he was back living in England, but he was ridiculed because they weren't very accurate. You can imagine how difficult it would have been to forecast the weather, and the mid to late 1800s. I mean, considering that a lot of people still give the Met Office grief today, imagine how problematic it would have been back then. So sadly he locked the door to his study and knocked himself off. But yeah, rest in peace, Governor Fitzroy. He was a friend to Māori in a lot of ways, and tried to make things work in some quite interesting ways. There's some good history available if you want to find out a bit more about him online. I'm not going to sort of go on denigrate Governor Gray, but I've sort of, I suppose he had his good points. But yeah, he certainly was responsible for a bit of stuff that wasn't so savoury in the end. But yeah, I've got a few cool songs that I've sort of thought I might play today. This is actually one of Governor Fitzroy's favourite tunes. No, it wasn't actually, but no, it was. It's I got to see this guy live recently, and yeah, excellent gig. Really has a lot of respect for the audience, puts on a good show. It's Fatboy Slim. This is Everybody Loves a Filter. Yeah, okay, good track, eh? It was dragging on a bit there, so I thought I'd cut it short. So, yeah, I've got a game of football coming up today. Second game for my new club, Masterton AFC. I'm playing for the Royals, who are playing Royal Blue, I think, and that's why they're called the Royals. Well, yeah, last time we played one of the other Masterton teams, so we actually played in grey. But, yeah, good club so far. I joined them because they actually train. The club I was at for the last couple of years sort of had a bit of a, relaxed attitude to training, and yeah, I couldn't deal with it in the end. I sort of have to train at least once a week if I'm going to play football, otherwise I get injured and unfit and so on. But yeah, so we're playing a team called the Evergreens today, who I've played against before. They're a bunch of older guys who love the game, and and I've got a lot of respect for them carrying on playing into their older years, and a few of them are pretty handy players still. So yeah, it should be a good little kick around, and then we start the season off next week, which is always exciting. First game of the new season. Yeah, so I hope everyone's been having a good year so far. We're getting into April. It's only a few days away, and yeah, it's flying along as it always does. I'm going to be getting into some new work soon. I'm sort of tossing up some ideas about what I'm going to do. This honey job's finishing up, seasonal work, and there's not much sort of journalism work around Wairarapa if you can't get in at the Times Age. Yeah, so I'm sort of tossing up a few options. But, I was definitely surprised to learn that Robert Louis Stevenson actually died on Samoa and then was buried there. I had no idea about that. So it was a really cool article, that one, in the Listener the other day. Interesting to find out that he was there, and that the locals loved him so much they carried his body up to the top of a mountain there and buried him. And you can still go there and see his grave. So if you're lucky enough to visit Samoa, head up there and check it out. Yeah, and so last week I was talking a bit about what brought us to live in Wairarapa, and yeah, it was actually, we were living in Melbourne and sort of had been sort of talking about moving north to New South Wales, and then we got word from someone that there was a good deal on a house back here in Carterton, and too good an offer to pass up, really. So we made our way back here, and as I said last week, I've really enjoyed living here so far, and with my partner, the lovely Emma Jane, and our two children, Indira and Astrid. Indira, who was here on the show last week actually, and said a little word at the end. She's 11, and Astrid is 2.5 almost. Yeah, so a bit of a gap there, but yeah, that's how it is sometimes. And yeah, it has been really interesting. One thing is this is the furthest I've ever lived from the ocean in my entire life, and that is something I don't really like, actually. It takes an hour to get to the beach, which is a little bit too long. I think everywhere else I've ever lived has been within about 10 minutes of the beach, or no, actually when I lived in Hawke's Bay we were probably 20 minutes, but 20 minutes as opposed to an hour. There are plenty of rivers around, but something about the ocean, the giant body of water stretching across the planet. Yeah, I miss it. We lived at Raumati for a while, actually, on the west coast there at Kapiti, and it was across the road from the beach, so you could actually hear the waves when you went to sleep, which was really lovely. And if you haven't experienced that, you should go somewhere and stay in a campground or a hotel where you can, because it's really quite special. So yeah, I was going to play another cool song that I was listening to earlier this week and thinking, this is something that the Arrow listeners will appreciate. And I'm not sure whether the Arrow listeners will appreciate this, but perhaps some of them will. And but it's a good song. It's by Kanye West, who is everyone's favourite artist, I think. Everyone loves Kanye, don't they? Oh, I love Kanye. He's misunderstood. He can be a little bit big-headed at times, but he's definitely talented. And this is a cool track. I like this one. It's called Ghost Town. And it's actually, yeah, it's a little bit of an odd one. When I first heard it, I was like, man, what is this discordant, weird music? And then it sort of grew on me a bit. So maybe you're going to think it's discordant, weird music as well. His singing at the start is just sort of, he's deliberately sort of singing in a weird way. But no, it's good. It's good. You'll love it. You're going to love it.
Someday, I wanna wear a starry crown.
Someday, I wanna lay down like God did on Sunday. Sundays, I remember these on Sundays. That way, yeah, way, that is. Someday, I wanna tell everybody. Someday, I wanna hit the red dot and everybody. Someday, smoke a marijuana. Do what I wanna. I've been trying to make you love me, but everything I try just takes you further from me. Someday we gon' set it off. Someday we gon' get this off. Baby, don't you bet it all on that path of fentanyl. You might think they wrote you off. They gon' have to wrote me off. Someday the drama be gone and they'll play this. Sometimes I take all the shine, talk like I drank all the wine. Years ahead but way behind. I'm on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No half-truths, just naked minds. Caught between space and time. This now with the word in mind. But maybe someday I've been trying to make you love me, but everything I try just takes you further from me.
Whoa, once again I am a child. I let go of everything that I know. Yeah, of everything that I know. Yeah, and nothing hurts anymore. I feel kind of free. We're still the kids we used to be. Yeah, yeah. I put my hand on a stove to see if I still bleed. Yeah. Kind of free. We're still the kids we used to be. Yeah, yeah. I put my hand on a stove to see if I still bleed. Yeah, and nothing hurts anymore. I feel kind of free. We're still the kids we used to be. Yeah, yeah. I put my hand on a stove to see if I still bleed. Yeah, and nothing hurts anymore. I feel kind of free. We're still the kids kids we used to be. Yeah, yeah. I put my hand on a stove to see if I still bleed. Yeah, and nothing hurts anymore. I feel kind of free.
Yeah, so that's Kanye West with Ghost Town. And it's Kanye West and Party Next Door, who I haven't actually heard of, but I assume that's the woman who was singing there. But yeah, I saw him live in Auckland actually a few years ago, opening for U2. And yeah, great show, very enthusiastic. And he did a cool little number with a local string quartet. I can't remember what it was, but it was pretty cool. And he was running around the stage, full of energy. And yeah, I was, I'm glad I got to see him live, and sort of, he is sort of one of those people that a lot of people sort of like, oh, he's crazy, he's stupid, blah, 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 and people don't really know him from a bar of soap, and they say these things. But I suppose it's the price of celebrity for people like him. They put themselves out there, and then everyone's like, oh, well, I know exactly what they're like, and I'm going to say this about them. It's sort of one of those things that plagues anyone in New Zealand who gets ahead. They get knocked back down pretty swiftly at times. Last week I briefly touched on how I had some troubles when I was a student, and ended up having I had what was quite an extended stint in and out of the psychiatric unit due to behavioural issues I had in terms of like what I was doing, what sort of behaviour I was getting up to, and how I was not modifying it. And, it was an interesting time, because there were definitely some, rather severe lows, but there were actually some really quite epic highs as well, which is something that I think when I tell some people that, they're actually quite surprised. They sort of automatically think that it would have been a terrible time, but I did have some really quite interesting times being locked away, and I did escape from the psychiatric unit. I broke the record for escapes from the Wellington unit, actually. I was pretty good at escaping, and it made for a lot of laughs and exciting, adrenaline-packed fleeing down the streets of Wellington or up over the Mount Vic through the trees. There's nothing like being on the run from the mental health service and the police. It really sort of gives you just an extra jolt. It's like a super strong coffee in the morning, but and it feels pretty good, I have to say. It was always pretty funny. I'd take what I'd do, one of the best ways to make sure after you'd initially escaped from the unit itself, to make sure you didn't get caught again, was to wear 2 or 3 hoodies. So that's what I used to do. I'd chuck on like 3 hoodies, and like quite very different colours. Pretty simple, but effective, as it turned out. So, you'd take off in a red hoodie, and then so they'd put the word out that someone was on the run in a red hoodie, and then you'd just dump that red hoodie under a tree somewhere, and you'd have a blue hoodie on, and you just put the hood up, just walk down the street, and those cars would go whizzing by, and you'd have a little chuckle, and then, go to your mate's house, annoy them until they rang the service, and they come pick you up. So, funny times. But yeah, as I did say last week, I sort of managed to modify my behaviour and get out of that, I suppose you could call it a rut. Yeah, it was a bit of a rut, because I suppose, I did get a lot of material for a book that I'm planning on writing, but I suppose, so in that way, it could be called research, an extended period of research between the ages of 23 and 27 and a half. So I've got another cool song by a guy that I have a lot of admiration for, an artist who I've never actually seen live. I'd love to see him live, but he actually has some mental health issues himself. And but yeah, a very talented man, Jay Electronica. I can't remember what his real name is, but this is a cool track that I'm quite fond of. It's called Trolley Stop. I think it's a nod from, he's sort of more of a recent artist, but this track is a sort of a nod to older hip-hop and his roots in some ways. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
In a little while from now, if I'm not feeling any less down, I promise myself to pack my bags and visit a nearby town and climb into the top. We'll grab the microphone and rock, and all the party people in the place to be will say, damn, that boy can rock. Now everybody in the place, clap your hands, and everybody in the space, clap your hands to all the people in the party. Clap your hands, come on, rock your body. Clap your hands, now everybody feel good. Clap your hands and let it be understood. Now clap your hands, we came to get down. Clap your hands into the funky fresh sound. Clap your hands to come on, Puerto Rico. A jump on it, a jump on it, a jump on it. Everybody on the East Coast, a jump on it, a jump on it, a jump on it. To my people on the West Side, a jump on it, a jump on it, a jump on it. And if you in that Midwest high, then jump on it, a jump on it, a jump on it. Now what you hear is not a test, I'm just a rapping to the beat. Come on, I got a crease in my dick is in the fresh white tee with Deodoras on my feet. I hope you understand that my one and only brand is to make you feel good, make you clap your hands, and once you feel it hit your body, then you have to dance. Come on, I spit that uptown body rock ride, huh? And will a nigga ever shut me down? Probably not. Cause ever since I was a young lad, I crushed MCs, kicking ass, taking names at the trial stop. And everybody know I got a lot of flow. From that Mac to that Melf to that Cali. Yo, I'm well known in the spots where you barely go. And I'm the designated spot rocker air. Now take it to the dirty south now and jump on it, and jump on it, and jump on it. And I'll pay for it if I want it, if I want it, if I want now it. Everybody in the place, clap your hands, and everybody in the space, clap your hands to all the people in the party. Clap your hands and come on, rock your body. Clap your hands, now everybody feel good. Clap your hands and let it be understood. Now clap your hands, we came to get down. Clap your hands into the funky fresh sound. Clap your hands, so come on, come on, come on.
Yeah, so that was Jay Electronica with Trolley Stop. That's off an album that's actually available on Spotify and other music streaming services called What the Bleep is a Jay Electronica. I'll let you work out what the bleep is. But yeah, good album. Worth downloading and listening to if you get a chance. Yeah, so yeah, as I was saying, it was breaking free of that whole period was difficult, but made a lot easier by the support of friends and family, and but also just realizing that I needed to, and I think that's something that some people maybe don't understand if friends and relatives are going through a bit of a struggle, is that the best thing you can do is be there for them. You can't really make them come right. It's a decision they have to make themselves, which is hard to deal with in some ways, because you love these people so much and you want to help them, but sometimes they're just going through something, and the best thing in a lot of cases is just to talk to them or be available to help them if they need it. But I didn't want to talk about. There was some interesting things that were said I noticed online recently this week. There's been sort of ongoing info and discussion about this incident down south. But I think we've displayed how we feel about it as a nation. And I think I did read a really nice piece by a guy based in I think Lebanon, perhaps, maybe it was, talking about how the people of the Middle East really respect New Zealand for our our response to what happened down there. And I think that's a really cool thing. And I think, there's a lot of misunderstanding about a lot of things. I was lucky enough a few years ago in Melbourne to meet an Iranian former airline pilot at a park. One time I took Indira down to the park, and she was playing on the swings and so on. And there was, an older gent there, had his grandchild. And, I struck up a conversation with him, and it turned out, he was a former Iranian airline pilot. And, he had some, and I was sort of like, man, what's the deal with Iran? What's been going on over there? And, he was a really interesting chap. He spoke to me about just the situation that had developed there over the past, since the coup, where the Ayatollah took over and that sort of hardline group got in charge. But he was basically saying that, the bulk of the Iranian population are just pretty chilled out, secular, regular people who, are sort of like, man, why are these people in charge of us? But, they just, they can't get out from under them because they're too powerful still. And he was, a very, very intelligent chap, and we had a good conversation. And he just said that, they'd been, they were just in a situation that they weren't able to alleviate, basically, and a lot of them sort of live in hope that they will be able to. And one thing he did mention was that, that the way that Iran is treated by the international community was a problem, in that it didn't encourage people there to sort of believe that they could sort of break free of this theocracy that they were living under. And then, that thaw seemed to be coming in the last few years, and then it seems with the Trump administration, it's sort of taken a bit of a back step again, which is unfortunate for the Iranians. And I'd say all of the Iranian people I've met, Persians they are, Iranians, they are all, top notch, really cool people. There's a guy that I used to write with on Bleacher Report a few years ago called Yusuf, who lives in Britain. I'm not sure what part of England he lives, but really talented writer. Table tennis player, football fanatic, top bloke. I think he's doing aid work at the moment in South America, possibly. But it's just interesting, these sort of ideas. I mean, I'd sort of grown up as, this idea that, that was sort of given to me by the New Zealand media, via the US media, that Iranians were like this crazy pack of religious fanatics. And, as I got older, I realised that wasn't really the truth. And then I was told firsthand by this guy in Australia at a park that, the truth was a lot different to that which we'd been fed over the years. And apparently it's a wonderful place to visit. I spoke to a friend recently who had been there in the last couple of years and just said it was amazing, and that if you do get a chance, to visit Iran, take it, because it's just an amazingly beautiful country with lovely, hospitable people. I'll play another song. Don't have me rabbiting on the whole morning. Isn't it a lovely morning? Well, it is here in Wairarapa anyway. It's a beautiful sunny day. And actually, even if it's raining where you are, the rain's a beautiful thing as well. But for some reason, I've exited the playlist that I had prepared. So just bear with me while I find it again. I could rename this show, instead of calling it Ill Behaviour, I could just call it Amateur Hour, and that might be a more apt title at this stage, and then I could change it back once I get a bit better. So this is a track that I quite like. I really love it, actually. It's some classic English humour. Really funny song, good lyrics, an acoustic version by Supergrass of Caught by the Fuzz.
Caught by the fuzz, well I was still on a buzz, in the back of the van, with my head in my hands, just like a bad dream. I was only 15. If only my brother could be here now. He get me and he saw me out right. I knew I should have stayed at home tonight. Locked in the cell, feeling unwell. I talked to a man, he said it's better to tell. Who sold you the blow? Well, it was no one I know. If only you tell us, we'd let you go. We'll make it up for you, my son, so tell us what you know. We'll make you wish you stayed at home tonight. Mum, well she knows what I've done. Just tell them the truth, you know where it's from. You blackened our name, well you should be ashamed. If only your father could see you now, he'd break down and he'd throw you out for sure. I never should have let you out tonight.
Yeah, cool track, eh? Supergrass. Acoustic version of Caught by the Fuzz. It's a pretty self-explanatory song, really. So I'm pretty excited about having a football game coming up at 1 p.m. today. I'm going to call it and say that I think I'm going to score a goal today. I can feel it. Feel it in my bones. I mean, I was told last week that me talking about football got a bit boring for someone, but namely Emma Jane. But I got some good feedback from a couple of friends who said that I ummed and ahed a bit too much last week as well, and I had a little listen back, and I was like, definitely some umming and ahhing going on there. So I was going to start off today's show with an elongated just for comedy value, but instead I was late, which is that's even better than umming and ahhing. But I mean, I was driving from Carterton. I have to describe how it happened. One thing about Wairarapa is that, you know, there's like one main road that goes through the whole thing, and around this time of the year you do get like these situations where there's like some gigantic harvester or some weird water truck, and they're just cruising along, and you can't blame them. I mean, if I was driving one of those things, I'd just be like, yeah, well, suffer, guys. You can pass me if you dare, but I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, so they just cruise along, and then suddenly there's like 30 cars behind them, and they can't do much about it. Or they're just trucking along, and at 30 kilometres an hour or whatever it is, they go. The water truck was actually going 80, so I mean, realistically, me blaming the water truck for being late today is a bit of a cop-out. I did actually muck around a little bit at home trying to find a towel, and I think, now that I think about it, I actually forgot that towel. So, yeah, awesome. Here's another cool song that, oh no, actually I'm going to play something else. I'm going to play a little bit of something else. I really like being able to play whatever music I'll actually tell you a funny story about music. When I got a lifetime ban from playing at my friend Dave G, his house in Melbourne. Lifetime ban of playing music on his stereo because we had been out on a bit of a party night, and we got back at about 4 a.m. to his house, just chilling out, sitting around, and I got on the stereo, played a couple of tunes that they were like, yeah, this is cool, Ilya. And then I decided to chuck on some Mozart, and it didn't go down well. Like, they weren't feeling it, even though I was raving about how amazing it was. And that actually got me a lifetime ban from David G's stereo, which I think is a little bit excessive on Dave G's part, but that's just me. Maybe it's deserved. Maybe 4 a.m. on a Sunday morning after being at rave clubs in Melbourne is not the best time to listen to Mozart, but I don't know. I think it is the best time, personally. But I've managed to misplace this playlist again, but here it is. I found it. Now, this is I'm going to finish off today with a song by a friend. I'm going to quickly play this song. Where is it? Okay, I've lost it. There it is. No, it's gone. Okay, this is a band that I went and saw live late last year called Dimmy Borger, and they play symphonic black metal, and they're from Norway. But yeah, it's not a black metal version. This is actually an orchestral version of one of their quite well-known tunes called Gateways. And this, they played it actually at the gig, but yeah, they're a really impressive band. I'm a big fan of sort of metal music. I haven't actually played any on the show yet. I'm sort of easing into it, but I'll play this orchestral version so you can get a bit of a feel for these guys. Yeah, so they wrote this song, the band members, and all this piece of music. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I like it. I'll play it. switch it over now to the other version. This is the original version. That was the extra version. So check out the comparison. Pretty cool, eh? Yeah, interesting band. Good live performance. Really brought the show. Came out to, probably for them, what was quite a small crowd in Auckland. It was only maybe, I don't know how many people were in that building, 2,000 maybe. And these guys play regularly to crowds in Europe of over 50,000 and so on. So, but they were still, they were pros. They put on the show that they would put on for 50,000 people, which I always enjoy a band that plays with a bit of integrity, and they have a loyalty to the fans that turn up. That's something to celebrate. But there was a song. This is a track by a guy I met earlier this year named Dan Brown from Fielding. He has his own musical project called Polaroids of Polar Bears, and this is a track that I quite like. I'm just going to I suppose it's sort of the end of the show. I heard this the other day. Hopefully it works through this player that it's on. It should do. So I'll pop it on. It's called Wake Up. It's by Polaroids of Polar Bears. I think it's available on Bandcamp if you want to have a listen to the full album. But this is it. Cool, eh? That was Polaroids of Polar Bears with Wake Up. Yeah, I really enjoy that track. It's sort of quite haunting, and then good finale as well. So that's almost the show for this week. I think it's been a good one, personally. Probably it's only going to get better, I think, as well. I think I'm feeling positive about it, and I am going to have a guest to be interviewed next week. Gareth Winter of the Wairarapa Archives is going to come in and have a chat. He's a guy with a lot of knowledge about Wairarapa, who I got to know reasonably well over the 2 years that I was working for the Wairarapa News. He was really helpful with some of the articles I did, and has some really cool information about this place. And he's an interesting and knowledgeable chap, and I'm looking forward to having him on the show next week. We'll have an excellent weekend and week ahead. And we'll see you. Well, I'll talk to you guys again in a week or so. Next Saturday morning at 10:30. So hopefully I turn all this off properly. Otherwise, it's just going to be a full day of dead air on. Nah, just kidding. That's not going to happen. All right, turn this off. Turn that off. Good. Good day.